Elon Musk sat quietly in his sprawling office at SpaceX one evening, staring at a list of upcoming projects. Despite his monumental successes, his mind wandered back to his childhood, to a figure who had shaped him in more ways than he had realized. His former nanny, Mrs. Agnes Fulton. A no-nonsense woman with a heart of gold, Agnes had been a rock in his formative years in South Africa, taking care of him while his parents worked long hours. She wasn't just a nanny. She was a confidant, a mentor, and a steady source of warmth in a sometimes turbulent household. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop a comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Elon hadn't thought about Agnes in years, but that day, an offhand remark from his brother Kimball during a family call had jolted his memory. Kimball mentioned spotting someone who looked like Agnes at a diner near their childhood home, still wearing a uniform and serving customers. Elon initially dismissed the idea. Surely Agnes, who must be in her mid-80s by now, would be retired and living comfortably. But something nagged at him. What if it really was her? What if she wasn't doing well? The thought lingered until Elon, driven by equal parts curiosity and concern, called an old contact in South Africa to investigate. A few days later, the answer came back. Agnes Fulton, aged 85, was indeed working at a small diner on the outskirts of Pretoria. She had never retired, the report revealed. Her savings had dried up after a series of family hardships, including medical bills for her late husband, and debts incurred when she tried to help her struggling children. She had been forced to return to work, spending her days on her feet, earning just enough to scrape by. Elon felt a pang of guilt. How had he let her slip through the cracks? This woman who had cared for him so deeply was now spending her twilight years in hardship while he enjoyed unimaginable wealth and influence. It didn't sit right with him. He decided to act. Without notifying anyone, Elon cleared a weekend from his packed schedule and boarded a private jet to South Africa. He arrived at the diner unannounced, donning a baseball cap and sunglasses to keep a low profile. Inside, he spotted her almost immediately. Agnes was older, frailer, but her eyes still had that same spark of determination. She moved methodically between tables, serving plates and refilling coffee cups, her hands slightly shaky but her posture resolute. When she approached his table, she didn't recognize him at first. "What'll it be?" she asked, her voice warm but tired. Elon smiled, lowering his sunglasses. "Mrs. Fulton, it's me, Elon." Agnes froze, her brow furrowing as she looked closer. When recognition dawned, her hand flew to her mouth. "Elon Musk? Little Elon?" she said, her voice quivering. He nodded, standing to embrace her. She clutched him tightly, a mix of disbelief and joy washing over her face. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice thick with emotion. "I came to see you," he said simply, "and to find out why someone as amazing as you is still working so hard." Agnes tried to brush it off, insisting she was fine, but Elon gently pressed her until she admitted the truth. She hadn't wanted to burden anyone, least of all him, with her struggles. "You're doing so much for the world," she said. "I didn't want to bother you with my little problems." Elon's chest tightened. "You're not a bother, Agnes. You're family." Over the next few hours, Elon listened as Agnes recounted her life since they had last seen each other. Despite her hardships, she spoke without bitterness, focusing instead on the gratitude she felt for the good moments in her life. Her resilience moved him deeply. The next morning, Elon took her out for breakfast at an upscale restaurant and revealed his plan. "You're not working another day in that diner," he said firmly. "I'm taking care of everything." Agnes protested, but Elon was insistent. He arranged for her to retire immediately, covering all her debts and setting up a trust fund to ensure she would never have to worry about money again. But he didn't stop there. He bought her a beautiful home in a safe, quiet neighborhood, complete with a full-time caretaker to help her with anything she needed. Elon also made arrangements for her grandchildren, ensuring they had access to education and opportunities to build stable futures. "You've spent your life giving to others," he told Agnes. Now it's your turn to receive." Agnes was overwhelmed by his generosity, but what touched her most was Elon's sincerity. He didn't see his actions as charity, but as a way to honor someone who had played a pivotal role in his life. "You believed in me when I was just a kid with big dreams," he told her. "Now it's my turn to believe in you." As word of Elon's visit spread, the small diner where Agnes had worked became a local sensation, with people flocking to hear the story of the billionaire who had returned to thank his nanny. Agnes, now living comfortably and surrounded by love, became a symbol of hope and kindness in the community. Elon visited her regularly, often bringing his children to meet the woman who had shaped so much of his character. "You taught me about hard work and kindness," he told her during one visit. "Those lessons never left me." Agnes would laugh and shake her head, still amazed at how life had come full circle. "You were always special, Elon," she'd say. "I just did what anyone would do for someone they cared about." But deep down, they both knew it wasn't true. Agnes had gone above and beyond, and now, so had Elon. Their bond, forged in the simplicity of childhood, had stood the test of time, proving that kindness, no matter how small, could ripple through generations in the most extraordinary ways. Agnes settled into her new home, a beautiful property in a serene suburb of Pretoria. The house was warm and inviting, filled with light streaming through large windows that overlooked a lush garden Elon had designed to her tastes. It was a world away from the cramped apartment she had lived in for decades. Despite her initial reluctance to accept Elon's help, she quickly embraced the comfort and peace it brought her. For the first time in years, Agnes could relax without worrying about bills or the next meal. Elon, however, wasn't finished. During his visits, he'd learned about Agnes's love for education and how much she'd regretted not being able to finish school in her youth. Inspired by her story, he decided to honor her in a way that would leave a lasting legacy. Without telling her, Elon founded a scholarship program in her name, the Agnes Fulton Scholarship Fund. It would provide full funding for underprivileged South African children to pursue their education, particularly in fields like science and technology, areas Agnes had always encouraged Elon to explore when he was a child. The scholarship fund launched quietly, but word soon spread. When Agnes found out, she was overwhelmed. "You didn't have to do this," she told Elon during one of his visits, her voice choked with emotion. "I had to," Elon replied. "You're the reason I became who I am today. You believed in me before anyone else did. Now thousands of kids will know your name and have the chance to achieve their dreams just like you gave me mine." Agnes marveled at the ripple effect her small acts of kindness had created. She remembered the nights she stayed up late helping young Elon with his schoolwork, the encouragement she gave when he doubted himself, and the quiet conversations about dreaming big even in the face of adversity. Now, those moments would inspire countless others. Meanwhile, Elon's visits became more frequent. Despite his hectic schedule, he made time to fly to South Africa whenever possible, often surprising Agnes with unannounced visits. He would sit with her on the porch, sipping tea and listening to her stories. Agnes would scold him playfully, reminding him he was the busiest man in the world and shouldn't waste time on an old woman. "You're not just any old woman," Elon would reply. "You're family." One day during one of their chats, Agnes asked a question that had been on her mind. "Elon, why me? With all the people you've met, all the things you've done, why come back for me?" Elon leaned back in his chair, gazing out at the garden. "Because you taught me the most important lesson of all," he said. "You showed me that kindness and hard work can change the world, even if it's just one person at a time. That's why I do what I do, and it's why I'll always come back for you." Agnes smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. "You've done me proud, Elon, more than I ever could have imagined." The impact of Elon's actions didn't just transform Agnes's life. It also inspired those around her. The scholarship fund became a beacon of hope in the community, and Agnes became somewhat of a local celebrity. People would visit her, not just to marvel at her story, but to seek her wisdom and advice. She'd always welcome them with a smile, sharing her tales of resilience and reminding them to never underestimate the power of kindness. As the years went by, Agnes's health began to decline. Elon, ever the devoted surrogate son, ensured she had the best medical care available. When she finally passed away at the age of 91, Elon felt a profound sense of loss, but also a deep gratitude for having had the chance to repay her for everything she had done for him. In her honor, Elon expanded the scholarship program, creating the Agnes Fulton Educational Center in Pretoria. The state-of-the-art facility focused on nurturing young talent in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It became a hub for innovation and learning, attracting students from all over Africa. At the grand opening of the center, Elon delivered a heartfelt speech. "Agnes Fulton wasn't just my nanny," he said, his voice steady but emotional. "She was my mentor, my guide, and my family. She taught me that no act of kindness is ever too small, and that the people who shape us deserve to be celebrated." This center stands as a testament to her unwavering belief in the power of dreams and the importance of lifting others up. The crowd erupted in applause, but Elon's thoughts were elsewhere. He pictured Agnes sitting on her porch, sipping tea and scolding him for making such a fuss. He smiled to himself, knowing she would have been proud, even if she wouldn't have admitted it outright. Years later, as students graduated from the Agnes Fulton Educational Center and went on to achieve incredible things, they always remembered the woman whose name adorned the building. Her legacy, carried forward by Elon's gratitude and generosity, became a reminder that the greatest impact often comes from the simplest acts of love and care. The impact of Agnes Fulton's legacy grew beyond what anyone could have imagined. The graduates of the Agnes Fulton Educational Center carried with them not only the skills and knowledge they gained, but also the spirit of resilience and kindness that Agnes had embodied. Many of them went on to create groundbreaking innovations, start businesses, and give back to their communities, crediting the scholarship and the center for opening doors they never thought possible. Elon Musk remained closely connected to the center, often visiting to speak with the students and share stories about Agnes. He would recount the small but significant ways she had shaped his life, like the way she taught him patience by making him solve puzzles as a boy, or how she encouraged him to never fear failure. These stories inspired the students, who saw firsthand how small acts of guidance and kindness could ripple outward to create extraordinary change. One of the students, a young girl named Amara, stood out among the rest. She came from a rural village and had barely managed to complete primary school before earning a scholarship to the center. Amara was brilliant, curious, and full of ambition, reminding Elon of himself in many ways. Over the years, she developed a close mentor-mentee relationship with him, and he often joked that she was destined to become the next CEO of Tesla or SpaceX. Amara eventually created an innovative solution for clean energy distribution in remote areas, a project that gained international recognition. At the United Nations Climate Summit, she stood on stage and credited the center for giving her the opportunity to dream big. "Without the Agnes Fulton Educational Center, I wouldn't be here today," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. And without Agnes Fulton, Elon Musk might not have had the chance to become the visionary he is. It's a testament to how one life, one person's belief in another, can change the world. Hearing this brought tears to Elon's eyes. Agnes's influence had extended farther than he ever could have imagined. He felt a profound sense of pride, knowing that her spirit continued to inspire generations. But Elon's efforts to honor Agnes didn't stop there. He decided to establish a global network of similar educational centers in underprivileged areas, each one named after someone who had played a pivotal but often unrecognized role in shaping others' lives. These centers, collectively known as the Unsung Heroes Initiative, were designed to celebrate the power of unseen contributions and provide opportunities to those who had been overlooked. As years passed, Agnes's story became a symbol of the transformative power of kindness. Books were written about her life and her influence on Elon Musk. Documentaries were made, showcasing how a humble woman's belief in a young boy had sparked a movement that changed countless lives. Her name became synonymous with generosity, resilience, and the quiet but profound impact one person can have on the world. Elon, Now older and reflecting on his life, often found himself sitting in the garden of Agnes's former home. It had been preserved as a historical site, a place where visitors could learn about the remarkable woman who had inspired so much. One day, as he sat there watching the sunset, a young boy approached him, a visitor to the site clutching a notebook filled with sketches and ideas. "Mr. Musk," the boy said shyly, "do you think I could ever build something as big as SpaceX or Tesla?" Elon smiled, hearing echoes of his younger self in the boy's words. He leaned forward and said, "If you believe in yourself and work hard, you can do anything. And never forget to thank the people who believe in you too. They're the ones who'll make the journey worthwhile." The boy nodded, inspired, and ran off to join his family. As Elon watched him go, he felt a deep sense of peace. Agnes's legacy was alive and thriving, carried forward by every life it touched. And as long as there were dreamers and believers in the world, her story would never fade.